Hey, good afternoon, and I am here with my Filter Queen Majestic 80th anniversary model. This is the new upgrade kit that I got from a company called Good Vac. They're kind of like Great Vacs or a lot of your other vacuum cleaner companies out there that, well, vacuum cleaner parts companies, but they branch off a little bit and they bring some amazing um, options for your vacuums, such as this upgrade kit, which I'm very, very, very pleased with. There's a couple things that I'm a little iffy on, and if you've seen my previous video, I have this hooked up to my Triple Crown Majestic, and I'm gonna briefly go over why I like this and why there are a couple things that I'm not too pleased with, but overall not enough for me to never use this or to be dissatisfied. For one, the price was excellent on this. I paid about $180 for it. You can purchase it through Amazon. You can purchase it through eBay, but I recommend just biting the bullet and buying it through GoodVac because the shipping was quick. I was a little apprehensive about buying it at first, especially from what I consider a non-reputable company, but that's not necessarily true because they are actually quite reputable. They got the item out to me, and I did pay an extra like $3, I think, for rush processing, so it would ship that day. The only issue I ran into was it wouldn't accept my debit card information for some reason. So I had to call, and that was a slight pain. But the short story is, I was originally going to buy the EBK 340, but I waited and then found out that they have the 360 on there with the headlight, which is actually a power nozzle that I was debating on buying over the SCB 236 for my Miele. And I am going to, like in my previous video, going to post a comparison of the two power nozzles. Now, of course, I can't use them on the same vacuum because the wand for this machine is a little too small for the Miele power nozzle fittings, so it doesn't actually seat inside the neck very well. And the Miele's electrical hookup is actually closer to the back of the wand, whereas this one's actually farther back. There's more of a gap between the wand and the power connection, or the wand inlet. So it doesn't fit, short story, but it has the same release mechanism, kind of. The Miele's is always spring-loaded, whereas this one is not. It's not always spring-loaded, only when the machine or the wand is actually in the power nozzle, because the spring-load mechanism actually works off of the push pin on the wand. The height adjustments are pretty nice. The only thing that I noticed when I first got this out of the box was it's easier to adjust the nozzle when it's not on the carpet, because for some reason it almost acts as though it gets a little stuck between the height adjustments, and you kind of have to pick the power nozzle up off the ground and let it fully extend the wheels out. And when I did that, it actually got a little closer to the carpet. Rather than being stuck between 2 and 1, it was fully on 1, because it uses a continuous system rather than going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and then drops down. I used to not like that design because I liked how it would progressively go in between, but I found that it's annoying when you have a carpet that needs to be vacuumed on 1, then you need to go vacuum on 2, and then you have to go back to 1, or vice versa. And some people may say, well, why don't you just vacuum all the low pile carpets and then go up to the 2? Well, I'm still going to have to go through at some point, whether it's the next time I vacuum, and have to bobble between back and forth to the house, which it's a canister, so it's not that convenient to tug around, and screw with that. So I don't really care for the continuous height adjustment systems anymore. I'd rather just cycle through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and back down to 1, rather than have to go through everything almost twice. So that's a slight complaint of mine. The next thing that I wanted to say is, though this is very convenient to have a headlight, it's nowhere near as bright and nowhere near as useful as the Miele's power nozzle headlights, or my Eris Platinum's headlights, or my Auric Conquer, or my Ricard, or my Maytag, or any of them. I'm not even just talking power nozzles. It is an LED headlight, but I think it suffers because it's a heavily tinted, what is that called, lens. So it kind of falls short there. Plus, it's kind of centralized over the whole power nozzle, which again, I mean, this doesn't really reflect cleaning performance, but it's supposed to be an upgrade because they do offer this without the headlight. Now, of course, I'm going to take the headlight over a non-headlight any day if the option's there. But that's just still something to keep in mind. It would be preferred if the electrical connections were integrated into the bottom of the wand. I don't care if there's a pigtail on the back of it. To me, it just gives it more character, which of course this is a vacuum. It sounds cheesy to talk about a character in a vacuum cleaner, but I don't mind that this back here is a pigtail style, and it kind of goes all the way down. But I wish that there was some sort of a collar here that this was permanently attached to, so this made this a quick disconnect down here like it is up here. It's a quick disconnect and quick connect. So that's kind of a pain to me. Thankfully, I don't really use the floor brush on any of these machines, so typically anytime I'm not using the power nozzle, I'm only using the handle. The other part that I really like about this is the handle is more than generous to use. It's a lot more comfortable, in my opinion, than using the original OEM Filter Queen power nozzle handle, because it's straight up and down, almost as though oh good, I didn't even realize my camera's flash was on. Almost as if you're using an Auric. So that's why I really like that I kind of reversed that now. This is also a 360 continuously spinning end here, which is not on, I don't believe that that's on my Filter Queen. I think it's on my TriStar, but not on my Filter Queen. And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that it does not rotate at the top. The switch is a little bit easier to use. It's a side toggle compared to the original equipment on the unit, and it's a lot easier, and it's going to be a lot more reliable with the disconnects at the top and the bottom, because they're very simple. The wand to replace on this is very inexpensive, plus it's adjustable. So just from the nozzle up to the handle, even though it's not as OEM, it's not as high quality as the original equipment, it's much more user-friendly. Now, when you come down to the hose is stiffer. It's almost made out of a crush-proof material. It is actually crush-proof, which is really great. It's not a wire-reinforced material anymore. But you can see it still sways and swings very nicely, and it actually touches the floor. But it's got great movement in it, and I wish Miele would make their hoses out of this rather than being extremely stiff, because it's extremely lightweight. It's still made very well. It's not going to wear out and crack over time, which is the reason why I ended up looking for a new hose and found this whole equipment set up in the first place. But it droops and hangs very well, so it's not whacking against walls. It's staying in place when you're not in place, but it's more, I don't know how to explain it. I want to say poised, but that's getting a little overboard with descriptive words. It's more controlled when you're using it, which is great. And to me, a good canister vacuum cleaner should always have a nice immediate drop down hang that just stands there the way that this one is right now, with the hose setup, which the original equipment kind of did too, but I don't know, for something about this looks like it's made to work with each other. It looks like it should have been designed this way, and I like the fact that this stands up on its own, whereas my Filter Queen, over time, you'll notice, because it doesn't have a locking mechanism, it will lean backwards, and it will probably fall over unless you twist the nozzle to the side so it will stand by itself. This is only the second time that I've used this power nozzle equipment with the newer Filter Queen that I have, and I've got to say I prefer it on here the most because it actually will work with these tools. The handle will work. All you have to do is make sure that the push pin connector slides in between this slot here. So that's the trick. That's the secret. Now for the dusting brush, you can have it facing either way, which is nice because it doesn't rotate. However, the rest of the tools, it only clips on one way. My only advice with this would be make sure that you don't push it down too far, otherwise you'll cause these pieces to splay apart, and that could actually interfere with the original equipment setup. The second, well, I don't even know how many I've mentioned, but again, it's not to the point that I would ever get rid of this power nozzle because I've literally been using my Filter Queens since I bought this. I did use my Riccar a couple days ago, but that's because my dad was washing dishes. I didn't have a whole lot of time to vacuum the house really quick, so I just grabbed my Super Light really quick because I know it does a great job, so I could vacuum fast and then be done rather than taking half the time dragging everything out, hooking everything up, and yada, yada, yada. My next little issue is this connector here. You have to make sure that you attach it correctly, and you'll notice because you'll hear the air leak out of it right here. For some reason, it doesn't like to latch on at the bottom or over here at the side, one of these bottom ones, because for some strange reason, it just sometimes doesn't catch one of the prongs, which you will notice. You'll hear it not work correctly, but the way I check it is I just give it a little wiggle, and if it wiggles right here where it should be mounted flush against the inlet and the dirt container, geez, then you don't have it on correctly. Which maybe it'll just do that for now because it's new. My other little issue tidbit is the cord is extremely long for the pigtail end to hook up the electric. I tried to wrap it up around one of the attachments and plug it in, but it's too much of an immediate angle, and there's no stopper like on my original, or on the original equipment for the Filter Queen. There's no stopper, so that will also continuously spin, which you don't actually want that to happen, because if that does happen, it will actually get raveled up and you may end up pulling and causing stress on that electric connection, and that's not good for the vacuum. It'll actually wear it out fast, and this wasn't cheap, and there's really no replacement parts for this unless you buy all new, because this isn't original equipment.